Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with a guitar. They call me on the phone and they ask me, they say things like, hey, man, what's your show about anyway? I say, well, it's about an hour. It's about guitars, guitar players, guitar playing, and all things guitaristic. So if you want to call me on the phone and ask me a question about how to play the guitar, the care and feeding of your guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you? If you want to talk about a related topic like the guitarrón, the sitar, the lute, the oud, the vihuela, chitolias, banjos, balalaikas, bazookas, bajos, sextos, tiples, cavaquinhos, ukuleles, banjoleles. You want to talk about monochords or omnichords, or if you want to talk about pipe organs, piccolos, clarinets, clavinets, trombones, trombomarinas, accordions, ocarinas, pipe organs or piccolos. I mean, we can go on like this all night, actually. Maybe we could do that for a show. Just get the music dictionary out and
Then we would only get the people channel surfing during commercials.
That's right. Well, maybe it'd be hypnotic. Maybe some people like on the replay on Friday night they could they can't get to sleep. Trombones and trombomarinas and saxophones, sack butts, crumb horns, quartholts, cornetos. Go on like that. But yeah, I know. Well, anyway, or we can talk about politics, world events, or your own personality problems, but just to keep it clean, this is a family show. Okay. Anyway, so Bob, I tell you, this is my new guitar. I have this little soap opera going that probably nobody really cares about at all. There are probably some real kind of twitchy guitar nerds out there who would care, but
that's our audience.
That's right. Well, that's both of them. Anyway, but. So my story is that on August 6th, like a couple days after the day after we had the show, I decided to buy this guitar. We're actually backing up to the event, the first Tom's Guitar Show of August. It was a tale of three tellies, and I brought three Telecasters on. Two of them were mine, and one I was borrowing from a guitar shop. And I decided I really wanted the one from the guitar shop. So this is an old story, okay? So that was a couple months ago. So anyway, I said, I'll buy the guitar, but it buzzes really bad. I want to put the noiseless pickups on it. Because a couple of years ago, I had a guy put noiseless pickups on my old Stratocaster, and it made it a whole new, wonderful instrument. My blue Strat that I bring on the show quite a bit. Anyway, so the guy put a new pickups on, and it still buzzed, and this and that happened. He, changed the pots, these knobs here, and it still buzzed. He did new wiring, it still buzzed. New input jack, still buzzed. And he took apart the pickups, and there was a loose wire that was touching. It's like because what it is a magnet that has a really thin copper wire, wound around it many times. And so one of those little wires was like thick as a hair, broke off and was touching something. So he sent back and got more pickups and put those in, and still buzzed. And then, so a couple of weeks ago, I went in there, and then and he wasn't working, and a couple other guys were there, and they said, he'd probably like it if I decided to take some other guitar home instead. So this one has P90s. The pickups are called P90s, and they're different, an old-fashioned design. They're usually really noisy, but this one doesn't buzz at all, which is great. So the next day I went back and I took this guitar home, and he said he was going to set that Telecaster on fire, but I think he's just going to try to work on it over time and then eventually sell it to somebody else and sell the new pickups to somebody else. And I don't think he wants to talk about it. Anyway, so this is my it's a G&L Telecaster, and it's actually from the G&L company in California, but the body and neck were assembled in Indonesia. And you would have caught me dead in a ditch with a guitar like this a few years ago, but actually, it's fine. Darn if the Asians aren't learning how to build guitars finally. So, anyway.
Or they finally decided to build them well. They probably could all along.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of an art and a craft. I mean, it's just, who you hire. So, I mean, who you hire, how much you pay them, and how skillful they are, what kind of materials you use, how many costs you want to cut. Another thing is that the pickups are American, from what I hear. But the input jack on this one, I stepped on the cable, the cord, just a little bit, and it broke. This cheap plastic part broke. So I took it back yesterday, I guess it was, and the guy actually fixed it for me for free. But he put another thing in there. So anyway, so I would say, as far as getting the Musicians Pro Shop always gives me a square deal. So, and my students go there and they get a square deal. I mean, West Music is also there, and you can go to them and everything. But at West Music, you usually take it to goes through the shop, and there the guy just has a little mat and a counter on his counter and a little thing to hold the neck of the guitar. And he actually, he put the he soldered a new thing in there for my pickup jack while I was standing around. It took about 5 minutes. So anyway, so yeah, the Asians, some of the Korean guitars I played are really nice, and some of the Chinese guitars are good. There's usually something wrong with it, but they do a good job. Which reminds me of a story. I know I should play guitar, but there was this thing when the guy who worked for Mitt Romney said that he was the Etch-a-Sketch candidate, that all his hard right stuff would be all erased. Yeah,
shake the Etch-a-Sketch and
start over again, yeah, which he's trying to do now. A little late in the game, but so some journalist followed the Etch-a-Sketch, and it was made in a factory in Ohio. Excuse me. It was, I think, bought up by Bain Capital, and closed down. The jobs were sent overseas to China, where they make the Etch-a-Sketch now. But the American workers are making $9 an hour back in the day, which isn't a whole lot really. But the Chinese,
how far back you go, it might have been a decent wage.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, it was some time ago. But now the Chinese.
I remember when I was making $3 an hour, I thought I was doing pretty good.
Yeah. How's that? Is that okay? He wants you to talk into the Elvis mic, I guess. But
I see. Can you hear me now? No.
Is it on?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Say something else for us there. Switch is on?
It was not on. It is on now. Can you hear me now? No.
Oh, come on, man.
Well, I turned it on.
Is it plugged in all the way and everything? Is it?
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Nope. What line is it plugged into?
6.
Oh, we had trouble with that before, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
Go plug it into something else. Okay, he's going to plug it into another channel there.
It worked on one last time.
We're going to put him in one.
It's not secure, but it worked last time. How about now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I guess we'll use channel 1.
I wanted to announce to everybody out there in TV land that we're a nonprofit organization and we're about as rich as you expect us to be. So
This is Do-It-Yourself TV.
that's right.
We got it solved.
Well, anyway, so my story about this journalist filed up this the Etch-a-Sketch company. So in China, they're paying the workers 24 cents an hour, and some workers there organized a strike because they wanted more protein in their food bucket. You see, and they were fired. So So I know people from China who don't really think that this rapid industrialization is necessarily that good for the Chinese people, because some of them work like slaves. So they work in long hours for 24 cents an hour making etch a sketches.
I see the Apple plant over there. Some people say they are on strike, and some people say they aren't.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well, the dormitories for the, I don't know if it's specifically Apple, but they have netting because so many people have been committing suicide by jumping out of the dormitories.
Yeah, you should go to the microphone. Right? Yeah.
Should I mention that over there?
I don't know. I don't think he likes that mic. Oh, you're going to get a mic stand for you. Oh,
That is not a wireless mic.
yeah.
Where was the microphone stand that was here?
It's right over there. Behind the, Yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to play guitar while they got this figured out. I just hope that my the body and neck of this guitar were made by humanly treated Indonesians, and they weren't using. Yeah, this cable's going to come around the other side of me here somehow.
Oh, let's see. I'll just bring it back over here.
Yeah, it's kind of going to have to go under here too, I think. Maybe you should undo the mic of the.
How's that?
Is that's the mic though, or is that mic going to be for? I think he's trying to
you
give
hear
you a
me now?
mic though. That's the idea.
No, it's for you.
This is going to be your mic. So you take that mic.
So
Yeah.
I just need, okay.
You give that back to him.
All right, we're just getting another one.
Okay. So we'd need another line, and that's what you're okay.
I'm going to play a little something. In the old days, we had the sky cam, so you could see what was going on in the whole studio.
And this should demonstrate to the folks at home that you can make a show like this.
You could do better than this. So what I heard though was that the difference in price between an Apple product like an iPod or an iPhone in the if we're made in the U.S. and if we're made in China isn't really all that great. It's like it's just like $5 or something like that, $5 or $10.
If you pay workers well enough, they'll go out and buy one.
Yeah, that was Henry Ford's idea. Not that he wasn't a raging Nazi, but he had some good ideas.
Yeah, I'm finding out a lot of interesting things about Walt Disney.
Yeah.
I guess he appeared before the McCarthy hearings and denounced some of the people who attempted to go on strike against the Disney company as communists.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
I understand that the Disney World in Florida, while Disney is the as far as private companies go, is the #1 company in the world that uses biometrics, and apparently they have like face recognition technology if you visit those theme parks and stuff, and people are getting all sorts of surprises seeing their pictures linked to credit card numbers when they get offered to buy, pictures. I guess they take pictures of the ride. I mean, if you're on a ride for a souvenir, and you get off the ride, even though you didn't talk to anybody about it, they offer it to you, and it's already linked with your credit card. So apparently after 9/11, the federal government went to Disney for some advice on biometrics. And they've for a long time used some kind of finger. They say it's not a fingerprint, but you stick your fingers in some kind of scanner to verify that you. But now apparently they've got facial recognition. So the university hospitals has Disney company telling us how to be nice to people, and they're teaching us very original things like smile and have good eye contact. And anybody who from University Hospital wants to come over and give their side of the story, that's fine. But I did notice at the presentation that Disney has, which is like a 4-hour thing, there are photographers constantly taking pictures of the audience members. And I'm not sure if those are hospital photographers or Disney photographers, but they seem to be very vested in visually documenting these episodes. So
Your face is on file somewhere.
Yeah,
Well,
probably
one
feeding you all into the facial ID so they can spot the troublemakers.
Yeah, so if I go to Disneyland in 5 years and show up at the gate, will they say, will they tell me, oh, hello, Mr. Skopinski, how are things at university hospitals these days? Just by, one
Well, some robot will come up there and ask you some personal questions. Have you know, of course, now your face is now over the cable TV and on the internet too. There's probably a live feed going on right now. It should be anyway.
That's okay though, because I've consented to that. I'm okay with that. It's my choice, whereas apparently some of these schemes, you don't really know you're being photographed and put into a data bank, and that's just kind of alarming. So.
Yeah. Well, the other side of that, like for years, I was doing a thing at the library, the Big Kids Story Time with the story lady, Deanne Wortman, and I played guitar and I was her sideman. I did all the fee, fi, fo, fum voices and stuff, and I played guitar, banjo, or whatever I happened to have that day. And but there was this thing about videotaping it. There was extremely tense guidelines that you could only shoot the back of the kids' heads because they didn't want their faces to be shown on TV in case they got kidnapped or something. And which didn't make any sense to me.
When we shoot stuff up at SCTV, the people that come into the center, there are signs around saying you may be videotaped.
Yeah.
But if it's kids, we can't ever shoot kids without their parents' permission.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
I suppose it's a good thing, yeah. And when we did the Arts Fest, I was out there wrangling kids to have them, appear in front of the green screen. Like right now, we didn't actually paint the wall to say Tom's Guitar Show. It's actually just a green screen, and this is the logo, the banner from the website. Oh no, I get. Oh,
I think we gave that away when I wore my Harry Potter cloak of invisibility
that's
last
right.
week.
He had his invisibility sweatshirt or hoodie. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was this face running around behind me. It was like, Well, but when we did that at the Arts Fest, I had to get a consent form from all the any kid who's going to appear. So, and sometimes the kids were with other people that weren't their parents and stuff. They couldn't go on. So.
Speaking of interesting corporate policies and procedures, I was saying before we got the microphone, I feel very honored to have this microphone.
Oh yeah.
Thanks to.
You could have one every week if you want.
I guess. Well, this is great. Anyway, we were talking. If I don't bang the cameras, we were talking about laborers in China, and I don't know if it was specifically the Microsoft company, But they built dormitories for the workers in these factories. In one high-rise dormitory, they actually had netting because so many people were jumping off the balconies to commit suicide because they were so miserable that they actually erected like netting to.
Yeah, that's not funny, but I'm sorry.
But it's you know, I mean, it's
Yeah.
It's a very human way to react. That things are so absurd that it has to be like that. You know, that yeah, it's bizarre.
Well, there's this thing about, I mean, there's a whole thing about sweatshop and slave labor and stuff. There are more slaves working now than ever before in history. I mean, the golden age of slavery, we think about, like here before the Civil War in Brazil. You know, but there are more slaves now than ever before because there are more people in the world than ever before. But there are people who are working, especially children, who are working under bad circumstances. And then there are also, you know, I mean, there are a lot of people who are in this, you know, situation where they don't have enough to eat, basically, and they see no future, and they're you know, their surroundings are ugly, and they don't get, you know, sunshine and daylight, and they sleep in little dormitories, and whoever knows, maybe the people they're with are not that nice either, because they're also stressed, and there's a high suicide rate apparently. And also the farmers in India, there's a high suicide rate because they can't seem to keep up with enough calories, you know, in their diet, even though they're producing food. So. And it's nothing new. I mean, I know that the potato famine in Ireland, you know, when all these people were starving to death, they were still exporting beef to England. You know, the people who owned the beef, you know, things the people were actually very marginalized anyway. It's just that the potato was this new thing from the New World that was able to, you know, feed these people. And then when there was a blight, then they had no other source of food. Not that there wasn't plenty of food in Ireland, and also being imported from the New World. There were these. I read all about this a few years ago, but you know, they had this corn and rice or something like that that was imported from the Americas, and they would make this sort of, you know, gruel and feed it to people, and then the deaths from starvation went way down. The death rate went way down. And then somebody in Parliament decided that they were going to get too lazy if they were fed like this, and they cut off the supply, and then the death rate went right up again. And we talked about the clearing of the highlands and everything when we did the Tom's Guitar Show special with the mist-covered mountains of home, about the people being ethnically cleansed from the highlands of Scotland to make room for more sheep, and the terrible kind of working conditions they were subjected. A lot of them ended up in North America with an attitude, which.
There was a thing on the wire services last week that teenage suicide on the Indian reservations out west is real high.
Yeah. Well, it's people who don't have any hope.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm talking about like stuff from the 19th century, but this is today, and so I mean, I know somebody from China who was just saying that this rapid industrialization is not really that great for the Chinese people. I mean, for the millionaires it is, of course, but for the ordinary rank and file people who, you know, who've been peasants for thousands of years, sent to work in a factory somewhere. It's terrible. So, because they're 24 cents an hour, striking for more protein in your diet. You know, really long hours. Anyway. So I have a couple of students who have, actually 3 students who have bought loopers, like what I use, a looper. And one's a kid, just in 7th grade, and I wish him a long future at looping. The other 2 are somewhat older, but so the thing about the looping, though, is if you're a student of music, which I am, and
Should we remind our audience what a looper is?
well, the looper's the thing I've been playing on the floor. This is an older RC2 by Boss, and I got this one because it's I got it actually used pretty cheap. It's and it runs off a 9-volt battery, and I can put it in my case. There's much grander and more elaborate ones. What this does is if I play some guitar, like if I play like a so I just stomped on that twice, and I made a loop. So I can solo on top of it. Look, Ma, no hands.
So you just put the rhythm into your looper and then you play the melody over it.
Yeah, I can actually overdub loops too, if I want to. I can. In fact, I've done some rather elaborate overdubs of just like I mean, you can overdub for quite a long time, over and over and over again. So I can. Well, I can do like a. So I do that.
Play multi-part harmony with yourself.
So that's like 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 4? Anyway, if I push it twice and I erased it forever, but and my battery's going down. Oh well. But anyway, so I guess the thing about it is that you can do that. You can do lots of overdub looping, and you could actually have like I have another one where I can do 2 loops at once, or I can like I can have like one short loop, so I can go like that just once, and then I can play a much longer loop on top of that and record that. So you can record the one loop will synchronize with the other loop, even though the one loop is like a few seconds long, the other one maybe a few minutes long. They're synchronized, so I can
And it always shows up same time you do and sober.
That's right. It always does. I can put it in I put it in my case, and I occasionally this one I give a new battery now and then. I have a power supply I can plug into it also, but I don't have the problems I've had with other musicians. Now, I've had some wonderful vocalists. Like one of my acts I've done several times in my past was having a woman who sang really well and also was really attractive and present herself very well. So it makes my job a lot easier getting a gig, because I just sort of sit behind her and off to the side on my stool and do all the guitar stuff, while she sings. But then they do things like, one of them fell in love with a saxophone player and quit doing music altogether. And then another one sang one night in a smoky bar with me in Wisconsin and quit music forever. Another one got married and settled down. And another one would go back and finish medical school and marry another dermatologist at Johns Hopkins and probably doing very well for herself. If you're out there, Jackie, I wish you the best. But so the thing about having
The looper's still with you.
do the loopers with me, and actually the thing is, I have a bunch of these loopers because every few years, I get another one and a new one, or this one I got because I had one just like it, but this one was in a guitar shop. And it was used. It just came in as a used looper. And this is the older model. The newer model has got a whole bunch of doodads on it and stuff that I don't want because it just confuses the issue. I want to just do simple loops like I do here, just one rhythm guitar part, and then I do a solo over the top. I don't want to do all the fancy diddly bits, and I don't want to record anything in advance and put it on there. I don't need to, because some people like record backing tracks on them, so then they go to do a gig. It's like karaoke, and I do live looping, so I don't, I don't import any sounds that I didn't just make a moment ago. I don't, because I could download backing tracks from the internet and put them on, or I could even, make my own backing tracks at home or something like that. But I want to do live looping there, so it's spontaneous. So I didn't need the new one. So I got this one. So I have two of them because the other one I use all the time at the Tuscan Moon, and it's about to, it might wear out someday. So I have another one.
Should we mention when people can see you at the Tuscan Moon?
Well, yeah, we could mention the Tuscan. This week I'll be at Tuscan Moon Friday night. I have another gig on Saturday, like I did last week. So I'll be in Burlington playing at a party and a big shindig for a doctor's throwing a big party in his fancy house by the country club, by the golf course, and.
But around 6:30 to around 9:30 Friday night.
Tuscan Moon, Kelowna, Iowa, right downtown next to the bakery. I wanted to do that My Sharona song and change it around to My Kelowna. So much to do and see, like the cheese house or the bakery. My Kelowna. Something. You might have hit a. Watch out for the horse and buggy. Anyway, sorry. So, anyway, I'll be there, though. It's Friday night. Usually I'm there Friday and Saturday, but I'll be there Friday night this week, and I hope it's smooth sailing after that for a while, because I did a wedding reception last Saturday night, and I will say that, I get paid better to, they have to pay me more to get me away from Kelowna, you see. So it's good for us, because we're poor at my house, Anyway.
Or they have somebody else come in on nights that you're not there?
I don't think so. They have another guy who's been playing piano there. I don't know if he's still playing there on Wednesdays and Thursdays. They pay him less, and so I don't know. It's kind of funny. He's actually older than I am, but he has groupies. He has women hanging around him, women who are older yet, and I think he got divorced or something, and he's fresh meat for the women of a certain age who are looking to get married. So I don't have any problem like that. Nobody. I'm just not that interesting, I think, is the thing. I just play the guitar, and but there's a piano player who plays there sometimes, and but I don't think I'm not sure if he's playing anymore. He might have given up, or might have quit with when the patio closed for the winter, so for the cool months.
That reminds me, you were talking about the karaoke. We were down at Branson one time and went and watched a radio show being made. And a vocal quartet came in with a keyboard. They turned it on, it played their music, they sang to it.
Yeah.
Then at the end of their bit, they say, "We'd like to thank our keyboard player."
The guy who pushed a button or something, Yeah. Well, that's how it's done in a lot of places, and also somebody released a recording of what Britney Spears was actually singing over her microphone.
Yeah.
She had the wireless or the mic around her head,
Right.
and she was actually just lip syncing. But she was actually singing, but she wasn't singing very well. She was panting quite a bit because she was doing her dance routine. It's a few years ago, and so somebody from behind the board recorded what she was singing, and they released it. So, but yeah, there'll be no lip syncing at the Tuscan Moon.
I saw Elton John and Madonna had a spat over that. Because she does all the dance moves when she's performing, and Elton John says she's lip syncing and charging people. They expressed it in quid, and I don't know what that amounted to, but apparently it's fairly pricey to go to a Madonna concert. They said anybody that charges that much to watch them lip sync should be hung, which Madonna took about as well as you might expect.
I'm sure she'd love that. Anyway, well, that's well, it's all show business. Somebody was telling me his daughter is a big fan of Taylor Swift, and just what those tickets cost is amazing. Just to sit in the back somewhere is like really expensive, and sit up front, get right up front. That'd be like.
Yeah, well, that's Garth Brooks does 15 weekends a year out at Wynn in Las Vegas. That's $250 a ticket.
Well, this was more than that.
Wynn was selling them for $120, and he found out people were scalping them for $250. So he said, "All right, I'm going to charge $250, and we don't hand out the ticket. We get your name and whatever ID they need, and then you come and you get in with an ID card."
Yeah. Well, I think this might have been some scalping involved in this guy who's quoting these prices. I don't know. This is this dad who was, because the daughter they like to hear Taylor Swift, and I don't know if Taylor Swift lip syncs or not, but. I don't. But there were these jokes about the Tuscan Moon. If I wasn't going to be there, that I should just like record my act on my
your looper.
and then somebody else like
We just prop up a mannequin down there.
I just get a waitress to just hold the guitar and pretend. But anyway, I know it's just I don't know.
But if people come to the Tuscan Moon, they will actually hear you.
They'll hear
The
me.
rhythm may be your looper, but that's you too.
That's me too. I don't loop everything. I loop a fair amount. I'm learning more songs all the time. In fact, last night I was working on a bunch more. But I've been learning new songs all the time because people ask for stuff. And like I actually been working on "Killing Me Softly" with his song, and not very often. That's when I did it with Joyce McKinley. If you're out there, Joyce, hi. I think we went to the Joyce went to high school with me a long time ago, and she sang it, and because it was Roberta Flack was doing it, and it was on the radio at that time, and so we did that, and it was like a guitar fantasy for me because I was doing like a. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I have the music in front of me at home. It won't take long. I just haven't spent enough time with it. But yeah, I was saying about Tuscan Moon is that every week I introduce a couple more songs I've never played before as solos, not as usually as loops. And then I usually make up a new loop or two that I've never done before in my life. And then I do a lot of other stuff over and over again. But I know enough songs that I can play the 3 hours and not repeat myself, but not repeat myself 2 nights in a row necessarily. I mean, I'll play some of the same pieces because there's some pieces I play pretty much every time I play anywhere. But there's always new stuff, and there's always different stuff, and stuff I just make up on the spot. So, which is kind of interesting thing, the live looping thing. Getting back to live looping though, which I talk about. One thing is that like if you're just learning your instrument and you on the guitar you could play like a. So here I'm going to make a little G-C-D loop. So just go G chord. So I got that. I'm just fooling around in G major because I know the. I'm just playing notes from G major and I'm targeting the ones that I think sound good. I was doing was I was just noodling around the key of G major, and I can tell you right now that the key of G major is all natural notes except for one sharp, which is F sharp. So, if you're learning the fingerboard of the guitar, and I mean, some people, guitar is really easy to learn on a very basic level.
State Farm theme.
Does that sound like the State Farm?
You said you just did the State Farm theme.
I did the State Farm insurance?
Neighbor, State Farm is there.
Yeah.
You did it. You just did it.
Yeah? I did the State Farm? Okay.
Do it again.
I don't remember how. I was just playing. The guy or whoever, the woman or man or whoever wrote the State Farm jingle was just fooling around with a major scale. So it's all the whole step, half step ratio there, Tack. It's whole, half, whole, half.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm. No, what?
I don't know. I mean,
You should write jingles all day, make money.
yeah, but what if there really is an afterlife? Where do you think I'd go for doing a thing like that?
You can send your kid to college.
Can you say scholarship? Hope you did real well with that test. Anyway, never mind. Actually, I had a guy who recommended that I do that, get in the advertising business. But if you do that really well, what you do is you write things that aren't necessarily very good, and they stick in people's brains no matter how much they want to get a lobotomy to get it out of there. And I don't know if I want to get involved in that kind of dirty work. I mean, I could just as easily, sell, black market guns to criminals. Well, I guess you can go to a gun show and buy them legally. So, all right.
Well, as far as the history of some of that music, I went to a West High School colleague of mine at work. Her daughter plays violin in the orchestra, so I went to the concert, and it was all about the Brits. It was actually a very nice concert. They played some Delius, which I like, and some Elgar. But they concluded, and gosh, I'll bring the name of the composer and the piece next week because I just can't think of it off the top of my head. But it was a beautiful piece. It was written like in the 90s. It was the most recent piece performed, and lo and behold, I've heard that music in commercials. So I don't think it was originally written for commercial, but somehow it ended up, I guess they bought the rights or something, because it's not old enough to be public domain. So I'll look into that. I'll see, get the composer's name. It's a lovely piece of music. They did it for it was string orchestra, but a big, huge string orchestra with basses and everything. So I'll track that down. So one wonders a lot of music you hear in commercials is...
Sure. There's somebody's running a commercial now where they play the first 4 or 5 notes of the introduction to Willie and the Poor Boys over and over and over again.
Uh-huh. Well, yeah. Well, the thing is, though, that some of these little notes, these things, we were talking about this before, but like people say, well, hey, they just play, that's this by, that band. And I say, hey, man, Mozart had that lick too, We've been doing that over and over again. And the most commonly ripped off is Pachelbel, of course. Don't sleep in the subway, darling, in the pouring rain. Petula Clark. Da 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 da. And then we were doing that. My brother was doing that on the Tom's Guitar Show a month or two ago in the special up the stairs, and the thing was that Pachelbel ripped it off from a guy who wrote it down 20 years earlier. Of course, his was in C, and Pachelbel wrote it in D. But big whoop, man. Hell, I would transpose something up a whole step, and I periodically do stuff like that. Sorry, I was just thinking that song "Till There Was You" from the Music Man. We were talking about that, but I found it in a book, and it was in E flat, and I don't like E flat on the guitar because you have an open E string, an open A string, and it's just kind of a drag because everything's a bar chord, and it's nice to have. It's nice to have open strings and stuff, and not have to. I can play an E flat, obviously. But it's so much nicer in C for me. It's like really easy, and so did it very scientifically. I got out my computer, and I took a pencil and some staff paper, and I wrote it out and transposed it into C major. It took like 10 minutes, and then I took that piece of paper and memorized it, and now I play it regularly at Tuscan Moon because the hostess, his name is Meredith, and I'm hoping to have her on the show. Actually, she's a singer. But well, since I'm here gabbing away about stuff, I was going to say something about improvising with a looper, but I'll get back to that. The guitar show special is like in 2 weeks, I think, isn't it? Like, isn't next week the?
Yeah, next week should be the 23rd.
Okay.
So the week after that, we'll be upstairs
Okay,
for the big Halloween show.
a big Halloween show. So two things. Next week, I'm going to try to get a bunch of classical guitarists to come on. I got one guy who wants to play. He's played for some events before, and he's learning. You know, he's a doctor actually. He's got a he's bigwig in his department and everything like that. But he always wanted to play guitar. He and I have a long history. He came to me for lessons. We're about the same age, and he came to me for lessons when he was about to start his residency. Thought he'd have time, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah.
But
Those guys work more hours than anybody.
that's right. But anyway, but I guess he's going to have some surgery. He's going to have a hip replacement surgery, and he's going to be out of commission for a while. So before he has his surgery, I wanted to get him at this other gig that I was planning in the future, but we had to do it pretty quick. So next week I'm going to have him play, and then some other guitarists, some young guitarists, and I'm hoping that other people will show up. But next week it's going to be all about classical guitar next week. And the following week is going to be our the day before Halloween, so we'll be upstairs at Uptown Bill's, and I'm trying to get that one together too. We'll have it's like our Halloween show, I guess. I'd like to go. I was thinking about being in costume. One guy who's going to be on the show is going to play. We're going to play Italian mandolin favorites. He's a mandolin player, and I guess I'll just play guitar along with him. But we're thinking about dressing up like Chico Marx, and like stage Italians. But maybe that'd be offensive to somebody, like vests and kind of pointy hats and stuff. But maybe we shouldn't do that. What do you think? Probably not. Anyway. But anyway, that's 2 weeks. So next week's all going to be about classical guitar. So that's why I got my opportunity to bring my new Telecaster here. But anyway, what I was saying about the so if and Matt, if you're watching, I know he doesn't have a TV, but he might see this on the website, in a couple weeks. But this other one guy got a looper, student of mine, and. So the thing is, like, when you learn the notes up and down the scale, not knowing, learning scales by rote isn't necessarily that useful. Like, here's a C scale. Right? And I have no open strings. There are no sharps and flats in C major. Now, if I could put up here to D and do exactly the same fingering, just, start 2 frets higher and end 2 frets higher. So I had 2 sharps, but I wouldn't have to know that. You see, if I do it here, starting the 4th fret, that's C sharp. That has 7 sharps. Every note in that scale was sharp. You see, but I didn't necessarily know that because all I was doing was the same thing I was doing for C major. So my advice to guitar players is you learn your scales down here with open strings. It's a C scale, D scales. I played 2 sharps. I played F sharp and C sharp. I had to know that, you see, because otherwise I don't have to. I know that scale, so I do same fingering, but it has 2 sharps. But how would I know? Why would I bother to even know? Because I'm just doing the same finger movements. I don't know what I'm doing. So that's the first step. Is like, here's an A major scale. That had 3 sharps. F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So that's a start. So then after that, you learn all the notes on the fingerboard. And then you know what's sharp or flat in different keys because you spent your time fooling around with scales. So if I want to do something like in Stravinsky, sir, pick a key.
A major?
A major. Okay, so like a. A major. So there I was just noodling around in A major, and the only thing is I played notes all the way until I ran out of frets. But just remembering that my sharps were F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. And so rather than memorizing the scale by rote, if that makes any sense to anybody at home, because a lot of times in the guitar, there are some easy and shortcut ways to play guitar, and I encourage people to do this because it's not, you learn like a movable chord or scale formation, and then you just, go for it. So if I did a blues, say in A, like. Pentatonic scale. So it's actually a C pentatonic for A, but C and A minor are the same key, so I put my first finger here on the A. But that's all I know. I can't get out of that position. I'm stuck, Of course, I can do a lot with that, but I'm stuck. Now I could do the same thing, I'll do it in G. Okay, so I made a loop in G, so I'm going to do the same scale, starting the third fret here. Sorry, I was getting for a while I was getting carried away though, because I was playing the scale up the neck, and then I got out of the blues pentatonic, and I was playing the key of G minor. So,
5 seconds, better say goodbye.
oh, it's 5 seconds. Goodbye, everybody.
Where's our credits?
What?
I said, where's our credits? That's how we know we're going off.
I guess it's all over now.
Yeah, we're probably gone. We haven't faded black yet.